Welcome, everyone, to another edition of To Your Health, a program designed to bring you information on healthy living, featuring those who make a healthy living lifestyle possible. I'm Fred Zucker, your host, coming to you from the campus of Parker University in Dallas, Texas. Our special guest today is General Becky Halstead, U.S. Army retired. Welcome, General Halstead.
Thank you, Dr. Zucker.
So glad you could be with us today.
Yeah, it's nice to be back here.
Well, you've been here before many times, I know, and I have heard you speak many times at Parker seminars and other locations, other venues, and I've always been impressed with your story. Could you give our viewers, our listeners, a little bit of your background just to fill them in on your incredible career?
Sure. Well, I'm a country girl from a town with no traffic lights from upstate New York. That's right. So I went to the United States Military Academy in 1977 and graduated from West Point in 1981, became an officer in the Army. And then I spent the next 3 decades serving in the Army. I did go to combat in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I retired as a brigadier general. And then started speaking in the corporate sector on leadership for the last 8 years.
Which makes sense.
Yes. It was great. Take all those stories and apply them to the corporate sector.
Right. Now, there are signal achievements in your career, one of which is you're the first general officer, female graduate of West Point. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Which is terrific. What was that like, General Halstead? I mean, that must have been an incredible experience for you.
Right. Well, it is. It's fun. I mean, it's exciting.
Sure.
I wasn't striving to, get that title or, achieve that necessarily. I was always working to do the best I could to go to the next step, and looked ahead down the road. But when I found out that was going to be the statistic or the case, I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And so it's been a fun thing to have next to your name.
Absolutely.
But there's a huge responsibility that comes with that as well, because I was in the second class of women to go to West Point. The first class graduated in 80. And so you also have to know then how do you handle those women in the class of 80 who they would have liked to have had that title.
Had that title, sure.
And, they're my friends. And so, I often just remind myself, I didn't choose me, the leadership chose me.
That's
and
right.
So what I owe other people is to live up to that example and that standard and always make people feel very comfortable that I still put my pants on the same way every day, my combat boots on the same way as everybody else. So,
right.
But there's always responsibility that comes with those accomplishments.
Absolutely. I remember seeing pictures of you in a combat situation in uniform with your colleagues, and you're a diminutive-sized person. You're not a very large person, but you're a commanding person. I mean, even just looking at the photograph, I could tell just by your demeanor, by the way you were handling yourself, that you were in charge and large, and not in a physical way, but just in your presence way. And I'm sure that continues to be the case in your leadership roles now.
Well, you use the word presence, and I think that's an important word for us to think about as leaders. When we are present, be present.
Right.
And that's a lot of people don't understand that anymore. They're on their iPhones all the time. Like, no, put that aside and let the person know, connect, and look eye to eye. And I love humor to kind of explain things, but I often tell people that, well, I don't realize I'm short till I look at a photo. So it's obvious to you, but not to me. So.
Yes.
And my grandmother was 4'10", and, and she had a very commanding presence, and she was a missionary, and she led worship services, and she led music. And so, she had this really dynamic voice. And
Right.
I used to watch her and just think, wow, what a role model.
I want to be like her.
Yeah, I want to be like her. And I want to, when I grow up, that's who I want to be like. So it sunk in, I guess.
Yes, well, obviously it did. Well, your connection to chiropractic and the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress is wonderful, especially these days with the opioid epidemic that we're all experiencing. Tell us a little bit about that involvement that you have with chiropractic.
Well, the foundation, I've been a member, if you will, and donated to the foundation for many years now and have done some speaking for them. So I'm one of their spokespersons.
Right.
And so they asked me if I'd be the honorary chair for this campaign, and I absolutely could not say no. Number one, because I think it's such an important message, and number two, because you always want to give back. And when I think about what the chiropractic community has given me, which is literally my life back, my quality of life back, then I want to be able to participate in that and to support it and lead that effort in any way that I can. And so When they asked if I would be the honorary chair, I said absolutely, because my personal story in this case aligns very well with this campaign. I probably wouldn't have said yes if I have no experience in it.
Right.
But with all the prescription medications that the military gave me for my chronic fibromyalgia, that I had to wean myself off of and get away from and figure out a lifestyle that chiropractic care helped me figure out, then I think the message is very important and very clear from my own experience.
Right.
That you don't have to have that lifestyle.
No, it's a matter that, but it takes help to
It does.
get away from that epidemic situation, the addiction of opioids. I mean, that is a powerful addiction, very difficult to throw away.
It's so powerful. I mean, people don't. Yes, you make the choice to go down that path, but if you made the choice to go down the path, you can make the choice to turn around.
Right.
But it's not easy.
No.
It is absolutely not easy, and I think it's something that probably haunts an individual forever. It's just like smoking. If you love smoking, you probably never lose the love of doing it. But if your love of your life and being healthy is more important and seeing your children grow up and your grandchildren, so it's still about choices, but it is a very tough addiction.
Absolutely. Well, there is a month coming up, September, I believe,
Yes.
is Pain Management Awareness Month. Tell us a little bit about that and what's going to happen during that month.
Well, during that month, the foundation is running a lot of public service announcements. They're really promoting, no drugs, choose chiropractic, and so it's really to highlight that chiropractic care is a solution for this epidemic.
Right.
And I think, again, the epidemic, depending on where you read, you read anywhere from we're losing 90 people a day to 200 people a day. Well, that's more than we're losing in combat.
That's right.
So it's we can't not pay attention to it.
I know. Well, Dr. Morgan, our president, has talked about his experience at Bethesda
Yes.
Naval Hospital, Walter Reed. So many of his patients that he dealt with, the wounded warriors,
Yes.
were addicted to opioids,
Right.
and how difficult it was for them with their wounds recovering, and the additional problem of overcoming the opioid addiction.
Right.
And I'm sure that continues to be an issue and will for, like you said, a long time coming.
Right. And so that becomes a leadership issue. I mean, here we have men and women who've served in combat and they've given their all and they come back and they are dealing with, a lot of demons. They're dealing with, the memory of a lost comrade on the battlefield. They're dealing with their own injuries, internal, some are physical, some are emotional. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with such a large organization, whether it's the VA or it's the active duty,
Right.
a prescription is a fast, easy way
Right.
for a short-term fix.
Right.
And if you're running a business, you look at short-term fixes maybe as a stopgap measure, but you should always be looking at long-term on how you want to grow a business, how you want to save a business, right? How you want to be relevant. And so why we don't do that with the most important part of an organization, which is the human dimension,
The people.
the people. So to me, it's a failure of leadership if we don't get this right. And when we're not getting it right, so it is a failure of leadership. So, we've got to do something differently. And that's
Yes.
another reason why, folks like Dr. Morgan and myself have promoted and promoted and promoted more chiropractic care in the military, more chiropractic care in the VA.
Right.
When you think about the cost of keeping our military men and women ready, trained, ready for combat,
Right.
those costs could be greatly reduced if chiropractic care was increased.
That's right.
So it's just amazing that it hasn't happened faster.
Well, it's wonderful that you and Dr. Morgan and others of your background are able to take a stand on this and help move us in that direction. However incrementally it may be, we're still making progress there, and it's great.
We are making progress, and so you don't want to ignore that. I just know my demeanor is I know we can make progress more quickly.
Right.
And when we don't move out at a pace that's acceptable, what happens is 91 people died today, right? I mean,
Right.
the suicides for veterans is, I think, 22 a day. So if that's your son or daughter or your husband or wife or your mom or dad, that only happens once.
Hit you directly.
And it's 100%.
Right.
So, when we know we have solutions, to move slowly makes no sense to me.
Makes no sense.
No.
Well, I want to thank you for your service to
Thank
your
you.
country, your service to the chiropractic profession, and what you're trying to do to make life easier for those who have given so much to this country and to help us protect our way of living. This has been Dr. Fred Zucker talking to you, and our very special guest, General Becky Halstead. General, you are welcome to come back to Park University anytime. We'd love to have you come back to a future episode of To Your Health.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the invitation.
Very good. Please tune in again for more To Your Health. We'd love to have you come back and be with us again. Thank you. Bye-bye.